very brief, intense storm, and this tree came down. So we're going to cut this up, and I'm going to review the Milwaukee electric chainsaw. And here's the chainsaws. Now, Husqvarna, I got that chainsaw about 6 months ago. Great saw. I got the new Milwaukee right there, and this 25 to 30-year-old McCulloch. But I tell you what, I'm going to be using the Milwaukee chainsaw because I want to review it on here. But not just that, it has become my go-to chainsaw for a lot of reasons that I'll mention as I'm using it. I am using the Milwaukee over the Husqvarna. It's a nice quiet machine. You put it down, it's not running while you're trying to roll a tree or do other stuff. You don't have to stop it and start it. Variable speed trigger, and that battery is amazing. It will last for that entire tree, no problem. Now, this is the second Milwaukee chainsaw I had. I pre-ordered it. I was one of the first to get them. The first chainsaw I did complain about to Milwaukee, and a great guy at head office, Tony Buxton, reached out to me and they made it right. So that reflects very well on the Milwaukee tool company. First chainsaw, one of the first trees I cut down with it was an evergreen. It was very sappy, and that chainsaw leaked a lot of oil. It ran out of oil before the battery was dead, and I filled it with oil, and it leaked a lot. It would stain my floor, stain everything it touched. I had to constantly wipe it down. I'd place it on a paper towel, and that paper towel would get saturated with oil. So I did complain about it, and like I say, Tony Buxton from the Milwaukee company sent me an email, sent me this new one, said to send him the old one back. And yeah, this new second Milwaukee chainsaw works as you would expect it to. I decided to have breakfast first. Mrs. Bacon Ranch made some pancakes, so we're ready to get to work now. But some random thoughts I had while I was enjoying those fluffy, delicious pancakes. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They should remake that movie with electric chainsaws. Can you imagine how much different that would be? There would be no terror in the faces of the victims because they wouldn't hear it coming. You know, guy could walk in with a chainsaw and guy would be like, "What are you doing? You're gonna run that in here, get carbon monoxide poisoning?" I don't think so. Guy would hold it up to his neck thinking he's joking, pull the trigger, it's done. No terror. Be a completely different movie. Additionally, you could make it a whole Milwaukee theme. You could get sponsorship by Harley Davidson. Everybody or a few people would be wearing, well, the attacker. You could be wearing Milwaukee Brewers gear. I think it's a great idea. I might start a GoFundMe for it. Alrighty. mentioned before, the nice thing about this, you have to put it down to roll the log or do something else. It's not running, so you don't have to rush to get back to pick it up again. And the battery is going to last this entire tree no problem. I already know that because it's probably about the 5th tree I've done with this in just 2 weeks. And it's a great saw. Put the safety on there. Nice and quiet. You can take a break, put it down, no rush. The Husqvarna saw I have is a bigger saw, obviously, and it will get through this faster, but I'm not doing this for revenue. So, and even if I was, what would it be, like 10 minutes faster on this entire tree? To me, for the quietness of putting it down, I would take even longer. Another thing I wanted to point out that's great about this saw over gas saws is the variable speed trigger. Now, there's probably no use for the chain to be spinning that slow, but I'm not a wood carver, but it's something I've always wanted to take up, is to make sculptures out of these logs. And with this chainsaw, I could see that a guy could do some pretty nice work, because you can really finesse the trigger. So I think this chainsaw is going to help me get into that hobby of making wood sculptures out of logs, and I think this will be a big benefit towards that goal. What's awesome about the way this tree fell is that it just missed that scrawny, horrible looking pine tree. Also, I was outside and I did see this tree fall. We had received a tornado warning about a half hour before through the emergency network on the cell phone, and I came out here to lock up the barn, and as I was out here it really picked up and started downpouring. I heard the tree crack and turned and seen it fall, and it came down in a split second. And I was standing just over there, about twice the distance, the length of the tree. So that just got me thinking, can you imagine just walking out here and just being in the wrong spot at the wrong time and having that thing come down on your head? Makes you think, but we're getting along there. I'm going slow because I'm retired and taking my time. I stopped and sent a text and sent an email and chatted on the phone and stopped to make the video. Also, just wanted to show you my high-tech camera stand here. It's a log and a rock. Maybe someday I'll get professional equipment. Probably not though. Right, all done. I'm not sure how long I've been at it. Pretty sure it's less than an hour. Like I say, I'm not in a rush. But it occurred to me, and I actually did think of this before I started cutting it into firewood for next year. But if I had a chainsaw mill, this was a nice straight tree with very little knots. This would have made some nice planks, but I think next year I'll have a chainsaw mill so I can play with that. It did occur to me to not chop it up and keep it in longer pieces till next year, but it's something that might not even happen. So, but this is an excellent chainsaw. Like I say, it's my go-to chainsaw because it's nice and quiet. It takes a little bit longer than the bigger chainsaws, but Milwaukee made an excellent product here. I'm not going to go over all the details on it. There's lots to go over, but there's other videos doing that. I'm more straight to the point. Try to be efficient on words. Hey, as far as the size of the chainsaw, maybe Milwaukee will make a bigger chainsaw next year. That would be great. I didn't have the camera on, but you can do plunge cuts with this saw too. Mind you, this stump was rotten, but I did cut the top off, and you can see it wasn't quite square because yeah, I don't use a chainsaw every day. But that came off easily, and like I say, it was at least half rotten. And then I did the plunge cuts into the stump because that helps the water funnel into the center, just to help it break down a little bit faster than it would otherwise. So, like I say, it's partly rotten now anyway, so maybe maybe next year or a few months this fall yet I'll get a stump grinder. I got a few stumps around here to grind down. Or I could just leave it. It's not like I'm going to run it over. Alright. We're all done. Cleaned up. There's a lot of branches there. Filled the trailer with the branches and debris. Got a good fire going to get rid of that stuff. Get rid of the mosquitoes here. And that's working. And that's the pile of firewood that will be split for next year. I was thinking of getting a splitter, but I like the exercise of doing it by hand, so I did cut these ones a little bit shorter than I usually do. I usually do 18. I did these ones less than 18, usually around 16. That's the length of the Milwaukee bar. So they should be easier to split by hand. I've cleaned it up. Still has a little bit of oil left in it, so that's pretty good. Like I mentioned, the first saw I had, I ran out of oil before I even used 50% of the battery. So there's still plenty of oil left. You don't have to worry about, or I don't have to worry about running out of oil now before the battery's dead, which is a big plus. And the saw was in fairly good condition. There wasn't much to clean it up. Just a little bit of wiping around. I only do a thorough cleaning when I'm changing the blade, which will be soon because I have used it quite a bit. And of course, I just went and spilled the rest of the oil like a dummy. Alright, I'm all done. Saw's back where it belongs. Milwaukee made a great chainsaw. It's, like I say, it's my go-to now because it's quiet, has a variable speed trigger on it, and the battery lasts all day. It's a great little saw. I hope Milwaukee will make another saw, a little bit bigger. Maybe that's a couple years down the road, but I think they got a winner there. Thanks for watching. Bye. So one thing I forgot to mention, and it is important, is head office of Milwaukee. I had received the first saw, and I went through the proper channels to try and get it resolved nicely, but no one ever replied to me. So I did a little bit of complaining online, and a gentleman by the name of Tony Buxton from Milwaukee reached out to me and said, it's not right, we'll make this right. Sent me a new saw, and just asked that I send the old saw back to them so they could see what the difficulty is. So that was done, and I think that's reflects pretty good on the company Milwaukee. That's a big company that will reach out to one person that's unhappy with their product out of thousands probably, and made it right. So thank you, Milwaukee. Good job. Cat's playing hot lava. And it's going to make a scratching post. Is she going to be able to get across there? No. Take a break. Ruminate on what your next move is.
You'll probably stay with irons in a minute.
Alrighty.